freshman put on a show. Edwards downhill, a little circus move. What a shot by Anthony Edwards. Oh, that's a talent level that most don't have.
So smooth and yet powerful.
Anthony Edwards can do everything. I think he's the most talented player in college basketball.
Anthony Edwards, the potential #1 pick and by far the most effortless scorer in the 2020 NBA draft. Although he had his ups and downs during his freshman season at Georgia, the 6'5" guard showed us glimpses of his star potential, topping 30 points on 3 different occasions, including a 33-point second-half outburst against Michigan State. When he's fully engaged and aggressive, Edwards is nearly unstoppable. Edwards certainly has star potential, and if he lands in the right situation, could become one of the most dynamic scorers in the NBA. At 6'5", 225 pounds with a near 7-foot wingspan, Edwards has some physical similarities to James Harden at the same stage. As a 19-year-old at the 2009 NBA Draft Combine, Harden measured just over 6'5" in shoes, 222 pounds with a near 6'11" wingspan. Harden was a much more cerebral, polished player at the same stage, but they do have some similarities in terms of their shiftiness, their strength, and their ability to stop and start on a dime. Edwards also has some physical similarities to Tyreke Evans and Victor Oladipo. Edwards is at his best in the open court, with transition making up over 21% of his offense. He loves these quick strike pull-up threes with the defender on their heels. Although he shot just 29% from 3, that was more of a product of shot selection than anything, and he holds big-time shot-making potential, given his ability to rise up over the top of any defender. He's then able to play off the threat of his jumper, shifting from high to low in order to get to the front of the rim and draw contact. Edwards is also a very adept facilitator in the open court, with 42% of his total assists coming in transition. On top of his tremendous physical profile, Edwards' NBA intrigue largely revolves around his ability to get to his pull-up jump shot at will, particularly out of his patented step back, the most lethal move in the modern NBA. Edwards regularly utilizes a Harden-esque through-the-leg step back, showcasing incredible balance and footwork. He's comfortable creating space with step backs going to his right and to his left, which helped him knock down 42 pull-ups in just 32 collegiate games, over twice as many as Harden made as a collegiate sophomore. Utah Jazz star Donovan Mitchell and Victor Oladipo have also popularized the step back move, and NBA scouts see Edwards potentially filling a similar role as a 3-level scorer at the next level. Edwards then uses sweeping crossovers to get to his pull-ups, showing the ability to do so in either direction from well beyond NBA range. Donovan Mitchell is another guard who uses violent crossovers to get into his pull-up, something we even saw glimpses of during his collegiate career at Louisville. Edwards is fairly advanced, mixing in combo moves if his crossover pull-up is taken away, exploding to the rim powerfully. Edwards also does a great job of creating space with these pullback dribbles going to his right, a staple from some of the top guards like Harden and Oladipo. Then once he has that pullback move taken away, he has the footwork and handle to re-explode to the rim, shifting gears violently to knife through tight crevices. Outside of Harden, there really aren't too many guards in the NBA with that type of power and shiftiness. Edwards is really comfortable playing off of hang dribbles, a signature of some of the NBA's top perimeter scorers. He generates great rhythm into his pull-up off these left-hand hangs and can rise up over the top of even the draft's top defenders, like you see here against potential top 5 pick Isaac Okoro. Developing that hang dribble attack is a big reason why Oladipo was able to go from 4-year player at Indiana to eventual #1 pick and 23-point per game scorer with the Pacers 2 seasons ago. Because he's a threat to rise up, Edwards is then able to explode past his defender, especially in switch situations, showcasing a level of twitch and explosiveness rare for his body type. While not quite as thick as Edwards, Oladipo is also tremendous at shifting gears to the rim in a straight line, even mixing in these slow to fast, through the legs crossover moves to get a piece of the paint. The last piece of Edwards' isolation attack is fairly simple. Utilize his size, footwork, and range to rise over the top of his defender from well beyond NBA distance, as you can see here against Chaminade. He's really effective going to his left in mid-range spots as well, regularly planting 1-2 before drilling the mid-range pull-up. That style of pull-up has been a huge driving force in Donovan Mitchell's early NBA success, setting the blueprint for Edwards once he reaches the next level. While he plays a little bit too much catch and hold basketball, Edwards also loves to hard jab right and rise up going left, a move that Mitchell also goes to with regularity in the half court. Because of his pull-up shooting and his ability to shift gears on a dime, Edwards has tremendous potential as a ball screen scorer, even if he's a little bit more comfortable in isolation situations right now. Now, for him to fully realize that potential as a pick and roll scorer, he'll have to become a much more consistent pull-up shooter, or teams will simply go under every screen, taking away his physicality to the rim. But his percentages are much more a product of his shot selection than anything, and he has the touch and shot making to knock down pull-up threes versus drop coverages from well beyond NBA range. With his pull-ups setting the table, Edwards can then use his physicality and shifty nature to beat the big to the rim in either direction, although he'll have to keep fine-tuning his handle and decision-making in these situations to fully realize his potential. While a comfortable passer in transition with either hand, Edwards is very much still evolving as a ball screen facilitator. Being able to play make out of pick and roll is a big part of what makes guards like Harden, Mitchell, and Oladipo so tough to guard, which is why it's imperative that Edwards improves in this area. He misses the roll man far too often and struggles delivering the ball from the correct angles when he does see the pass. But the flashes are often enough to instill some level of optimism, especially considering how his scoring figures to open up the rest of his game. With that said, he's not yet adept at hitting the weak side shooter, instead forcing up contested runners in the paint. Far too often, he lived off of difficult pull-up twos as opposed to hitting the pop man or just making the simple read. Edwards' biggest question mark on the offensive end of the floor is his shot selection, as he attempted 142 pull-up jumpers in just 32 games, and jump shots overall made up 67% of his offense. Now, for reference, James Harden's sophomore season at Arizona State, jumpers accounted for 54% of his total shots. Scouts question whether Edwards' catch and hold style lends itself to winning and playing with other stars, with some wondering whether or not he'll adjust his game or just settle into being a Dion Waiters-like microwave scorer. Edwards lives off so many tough, contested jumpers early in the shot clock. Between high school, AAU, and college, Edwards has never finished a season above 500, and his affinity to settle for out-of-rhythm jump shots has certainly played a role in that. Because his intrigue revolves around his shot creation potential, there are some questions about just how Edwards will mesh with other more ball-dominant guards. Now, for him to answer those questions, he's going to have to become more comfortable in catch-and-shoot situations, as he made only 24 catch-and-shoot jump shots in 32 games. He can stand to improve his shot preparation and become more consistent with his mechanics. When he does hop into a shot with his hands and feet ready, he's more than capable. Then when teams run him off the line, he has the footwork to sidestep into pull-up threes, which we see from so many of the best shooters. If Edwards can get this catch and hold style out of his game and be more decisive attacking closeouts, this is what he can look like. He's an absolute freight train to the rim and started to develop a better feel as a cutter as the season progressed. Now, when Edwards does decide to attack the rim and get downhill, he's a highly explosive leaper who can put weak side shot blockers on posters with relative ease. Now, Oladipo wasn't quite as powerful, but he was also bouncy up 1 or 2 feet in space during his Indiana days, which clearly carried over to the NBA. Edwards is even more powerful than Oladipo and should be able to live at the free throw line at the next level. He loves going to his left hand around the rim and has the strength, length, and explosiveness to be an excellent finisher. He's still developing that same foot, same hand, speed finishes, and nuance that you see from some of the league's best scorers, and converted just 5 of 22 floaters during his freshman campaign. But Edwards regularly dodges help side defenders with Euro steps and is a year or two away from becoming an exceptional finisher who will certainly benefit from the additional spacing that the NBA offers. Now, where the comparisons to Victor Oladipo and Donovan Mitchell start to lose some steam is on the defensive end of the floor. Oladipo had to scratch and claw his way to where he is today, winning a Big Ten Defensive Player of the Year in the process. Mitchell was an energy defender in high school, more of an athlete who continued to add to his offensive game and eventually turned into the player that you see today with the Utah Jazz. Edwards, on the other hand, brings very little intensity to the defensive end of the floor. He's standing upright far too often at the point of attack and tends to give up after one or two slides. As you can see here against Isaac Okoro, he's flat-footed, showing minimal effort to keep the ball contained. Having played on losing teams for most of his career, he has a lot of bad habits to clean up. But when Edwards locks in, he has first-team all-defense type of potential at 6'5", 225 with elite footwork and a near 7-foot wingspan. If you can rev him up, he's really tough to score on, with the potential to guard 1 through 3 at the next level. But those high motor moments are few and far between. He rarely bends his knees when guarding ball screens, allowing opponents to simply reject and blow by at will. He'll also get caught on screens and fail to contest pull-ups. But as you can see here against Cassius Winston, the tools are certainly there when he's willing. He has the strength to shed hard screens and the length to bother jump shooters. It's just somehow digging deeper and finding that consistent motor that's going to allow Edwards to at least be passable on the defensive end of the floor at the next level. Off the ball, Edwards' lack of effort is even more mind-boggling. Far too often, he's caught ball watching, here getting face cut by LSU forward Trendon Watford. Then here against Texas A&M, he's far too aloof, not even making an effort to stay attached to the shooter and get a hand contest. Then here against Ole Miss, he gives no help on the cross screen, leading to an easy bucket. Then in the final 3 minutes against Florida, when he really should be in desperation mode, Edwards gives Scotty Lewis an uncontested finish at the rim. As you'll see here against Michigan State, the tools are there for him to fly around for steals and blocks, allowing him to get out and make plays in transition. But those highlights don't come often enough, and Edwards is a ways away from being able to consistently help an NBA team on the defensive end of the floor. Far and away the most dynamic scorer in the draft, some scouts see Anthony Edwards as the unquestioned number 1 pick, given his physical tools, his shot creation, and his charisma. Some other scouts question whether or not Anthony Edwards' style lends itself to winning. Now, Anthony Edwards is just scratching the surface of what he can become. It's going to take him some time to develop on both ends of the floor. But if it all clicks, Edwards has clear all-star potential and could become one of the most lethal scorers in the entire NBA.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN+.